Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, as you probably read by the title, I'll be doing January's wrap up. It's crazy to think that January is over, and at the same time I feel like it has been the longest month ever. Like December went by so quickly, but I don't know what happened to January, but I was able to read so much. Like you can probably tell I do not have a social life, but that's okay. I read a total of 14 books. I know that's a lot, but the majority of the books that I've read this month were audiobooks. I've been saved with audiobooks, like they're my new go-to. Like I'm obsessed with audiobooks. You probably can tell in the next couple of vlogs that are coming how much I am loving audiobooks. But so I read a total of 7 audiobooks, so half of them were audiobook and the others I've read it on my Kindle. But I own 6 of those books, so I got 6 books off of my TBR, which it's insane. I've never gotten so many books out of my TBR and I'm really happy about it. But without further ado, let's get into the wrap up. I just want to let you guys know, this is a disclaimer. The books that I will be mentioning in this video, some of them deal with grief and other sensitive topics, so you should probably check trigger warnings for all of the books. I do not remember which have trigger warnings, so I prefer for you to check just all of them, so that way it will be safer for you. And yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that in case you get triggered by something, so that is a disclaimer. So the first book that I read this month was the second book of the ACOTAR series, A Court of Mist and Fury. I read the first one in December and this one in the beginning of January. I'm doing a vlog about the ACOTAR series. It's not out yet, I'm pretty sure. The part 1 will be out soon, but just know that I am enjoying it. I will not say too much. I will not say anything. And I also read the second book. I listened to both of these in the audio form, loved them, and I will not say too much, like I said, of this series. Just know that I'm enjoying it so far. You will see it in a vlog coming soon because I wanted to put that out there for you guys. Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. It's another book that I've read. This one you saw it in my last vlog, reading vlog, which is the reading books from my favorite authors, and this is one of them, and you probably saw from there, but I loved this book. So this book is about Julian and Dalia, and they're nemesis since forever. Their family always have been in each other's, they've always been in each other's life because their moms are best of friends and their whole families know each other and all of that. And they always have this competition, like, oh, I'm the best one, no, I am. And they live in a small town, so everybody knows how much they dislike each other, you know? They don't like each other because they want to be the best, and they always tease each other, they always make pranks. And Dalia has been living in San Francisco, I think, for 2 years, and she came back because she broke up with her fiance. She's not engaged anymore and she doesn't want to be in that environment, so she goes back home. And at the same time she's scared because obviously in a small town, once somebody finds out, everybody finds out, but at the end it goes in the news and you know, people know it. And her mom, no, I'm sorry, Julian's mom is like, you know, Julian, why don't you have Dalia help her with a project so that way she gets her mind out of the breakup, blah blah blah. So at the end he's reluctant, but he decides to help her and they do this project together. So obviously it forced proximity, and I just want you to know that this is my first 5 stars of this year. Oh, please go read this book, it was so good. And by the way, I did not tell you the ratings for these because I'm planning to do it in my vlog, so that's why just know that I read them this month. The next book that I read was Pretty Little Mistake by Michaela Smeltzer. I'm sorry for butchering that name, I'm really sorry, but I saw a quote on TikTok and I realized it was accidental pregnancy, and I don't know know why I was really in the mood for that, and the my wife kind of trope. Like, I love when a man is like, that's my wife, that's my woman, even if they're not together. So I was in the mood for that, and to be honest, this was kind of a letdown from what I was expecting, because I feel like the guy was kind of an asshole. I don't know, I wasn't the biggest fan of the guy, and I feel like sometimes he was really mean to the girl, and I don't know, I wasn't the biggest fan. But this book is about Lennon and Beckham. They have known each other for a long time because he is best friends with her brother, and then I think they kissed or something, and she was really happy because things were escalating between them, and he just said like, I don't want to know anything about you, and just ghosted, disappeared. We don't know what happened to the guy. So a couple of years later, he goes to the company that he works and realizes that there's a new employee, and who that is? Lennon. So they're not getting, I don't know what to do because we're pretending we're strangers, and then their boss sent them to a work trip, and what happens there? They get involved, and she gets pregnant from it. But at the end we realize why he ghosted her, all of those things. But I don't know, I feel like the guy was the thing. There was some part I wasn't the biggest fan of. That's really it. And this book, I give it a 2.5. Usually will have been a 3, like, you know, a quick story, but at the end I was just like, oh, I just want this book to be finished, so that's why it is a 2.5. Then I listened to the audiobook of this memoir, because my goal this year is to read more memoirs and non-fiction books, you know. Expand my genre. And this book, I've heard nothing but good things, and I decided why not. The audiobook was available. It's a book that I had on my physical TBR, so I finally read it, and that is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. This was so good, and it's crazy to think. At the beginning I was like, whoa, that title is kind of harsh, but as you go on you totally get why. And let me tell you, the best part about this book, the chapters are like max 2 pages long. The chapters are so hooked. It gets you hooked. Like, I feel like everybody will love this book, and it's crazy to see how you see people on TV but you really don't know them. So I really enjoyed it. Obviously it's a memoir, it's somebody's story, so I will not read it. Just know that I absolutely adored it. Then on my Kindle I've read a book that was one of the books that I wanted to read this year, and that is Matching All the Way by Veronica Eden. She's one of my favorite authors. I love her. And this book, it's about Eve and Cole. Eve is the coach's daughter of the hockey team, and in his case he is her brother's best friend, and they're not in college anymore, any of them, but her father works for the hockey team. And in his case, he always loved hockey, but he knew he didn't want to be a professional hockey player. So at the end he comes back to town. He had moved a couple of years ago. You know, they've known each other because of her brother, obviously. And then he comes back and she's really happy, you know, to see him. She always had this huge crush on him since probably forever, but obviously he's not interested in her like that, and he is starting as an assistant coach. So that makes it even more forbidden. Why? He is best friend with her brother. Her dad is his boss, and then they start kind of this thing, but I don't want to say too much. I was kind of let down by this book. I don't know. I love this is Interconnected Stones, or part of the Houston U series, which is a series that she's currently writing, the author, and I love that series. I read the prequel novel, loved it, and this one, I don't know, I didn't really like how their relationship were. I don't know, there was something that I was let down. That's really it. I'm sad to say this, but I was expecting and I was really anticipating this book. I was pretty sure it was like going to be 4.5 or 5 stars for sure, but this book I rated a 4 stars. It's good, but just I was kind of let down. I'm not sure. I feel like it's 4 stars because of the world, but if it wasn't the world and just a book randomly picked, it will have been a 4.5. Yeah, so I will leave it at 4. And then I don't know why I saw this audiobook and I was like, oh, I'm going to read it. 4 hours of listen, not that long, and I did. That is Wrapped Up in You by Talia Hibbert. I hope I'm saying that right. But this book is about William and Abby. William is her twin brother's best friend, and William is coming back to town for Christmas to celebrate with them because he always celebrated with them. I don't know if he doesn't have a family, I don't remember, but he always celebrated with them. He was always welcome in their home, and he kind of has become, I'm pretty sure it's an author, no, not an author, I'm sorry, an actor. So he's kind of popular and all of that. No, he goes back home, and this year he's determined to make Abby fall in love with him because he always had the hugest crush on her, and he tells her brother, and because he's like, oh, he knows, so hopefully he isn't mad. But her brother didn't know, so he's like, how you're going to do that? He's like, I'm going to make her realize that I'm a great man for her and I will be anything she wants. But the twist, she has gone to a divorce, so he's kind of reluctant because he don't know if it's too fast to make a move on her, but at the same time he doesn't want to waste another opportunity. That is that. It's a quick read. I don't know how many pages that is, but I know it was only 4 hours of listen. So 127 pages. So quick read. It was really cute. I rated it 3 stars. I really enjoyed it. Why? Because it was fast-paced. It wasn't like too much dragging. So the next book that I read was The Intimacy Experience by Rosie Danan. This is an interconnected standalone to a really popular book that she released previously, and that is The Roommate. I read that last year and I enjoyed it, and I saw that my library had the audiobook of the second book, so I decided to listen to it and I really enjoyed it. This book is about Naomi and Ethan. Naomi is a previous porn star, I'm pretty sure, and now she's a co-founder of a company educating people of sex and all type of sex, I'm pretty sure, but it educates people. And then she does a course in school, I don't know how long, but she's like, oh, I would love to do a class and inform and teach people how to be comfortable with sex, because it should not be something to be uncomfortable about. And Ethan happens to be there, and he offers her a deal. He's like, oh, I would really like if you come to a class in my synagogue and educate younger people about sex and make them comfortable about it, so that way we get more younger audience. But yeah, it's kind of not really forced proximity, but they see each other a lot, and in her case she's kind of skeptical because they're really different. And in his case, he's really interested in her, but like I said, they're totally opposites attract. That's kind of the vibe in here. But I really enjoyed it. It was really good, fast-paced. I don't remember how many hours of listen it was, but it was like 200 or 300 and something pages, and I rated it a 3.5. Like I said, I really enjoyed it, and yeah, I totally recommend. Now the next book that I read is one of my most anticipated reads of last year, but I wasn't able to read it, and I did this year, and you probably saw it on this vlog, which is the same as Love Redesign. And this book is my baby now. Like, Love Redesign and this book were both 5 stars, and that is The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy. 5 billion stars. Oh my god. So the Off Campus series, it's a pretty popular series from Elle Kennedy. It got her really popular. Then she did another series from the same universe, the Briar You series, and got popular as well. And this book, I was scared, okay, because I love those 2 series so much. Like, I constantly think about them. And this is about, it's Garrett Graham's daughter, Gigi. Like, okay, I'm sorry, okay, I will explain the book, okay? So Gigi, which is the girl right here, and Ryder. Oh my god. Okay, so Gigi is the daughter of a super, like, a legend NHL player who is retired now, but she goes to university, and her goal, because they're not a Stanley Cup, you know, women's are not able to go to the playoffs and all of that. And what's bigger than that for women's in hockey? The Olympics. So she always loved hockey, she always admired her dad, but she doesn't want to be in the shadow of her dad. She wants to do something unique, and for women, the only way to have something unique. In hockey, it's the Olympics, so her goal is to get into the Olympics. As for Ryder, he is a extremely good hockey player, and they strike a deal. He's like, I'm going to help you with something that you're lacking of, but she's lacking something to make her even a better player, so I'm going to help you with that. And in your case, you're going to put a good word with your dad because her dad doesn't like him. Something happened, and the majority of time in college hockey, you know, it gets to the news and hockey fanatics know about it. So her father doesn't like him, so he's like, you're going to put a good word with your father, and I'm going to be able to be one of the trainers in his training camp. Guys, this was so good. Oh my god, I loved it so much. I read it on my Kindle, but I'm planning to reread it soon because I want to annotate the crap out of it. So after that book, I listened to an audiobook. I was in a mystery thriller vibe, so I listened to the this audiobook. It's 8 Perfect Murders by Peter Swenson, and this book is about a guy. What is his name? Malcolm. So this book is about Malcolm. He owns a bookstore, and one day an FBI agent comes to the bookstore and he is like, "Have you wrote this post?" And he wrote a post like a couple of years ago about 8 perfect murders, and he lists each book which he feels like is a perfect murder, and he's like, yeah. And she tells him that she believes that there's a killer out there, a murderer, and he is killing people based off his list. So at the beginning he's like, that doesn't make sense, but the further they go into, they realize that it is true, and he decides to help her. I listened to that and I was like, oh my god, this is going to be so good. Oh my god, I did not like it. It was so messy. I don't know, I really did not enjoy it. I rated it 2 stars. I feel like with thrillers, I don't know, it had potential, but I feel like the author didn't do it really well, and I'm sad because I was really like into it at the beginning. It was getting hard to get to, then towards the middle it was like, oh my god, this is so good, and at the end I was like, what the fuck is this? And like I said, I was really let down, but that is that. Then I don't know why I was in a single parents mood, and I read Hero by Lauren Rowe. I don't know how to say that, and that is the first book in a Interconnected Standalones or series. So this book is about Lydia and Colby. He is a fighter, and she is a nurse or physical therapist, and she is a single mother of 3 kids. So what happens, she goes, at the beginning we see her, you know, happy with her husband and all that, and he was a police, and then somebody comes and tells her that her husband passed away. So obviously she is heartbroken. The love of her life, her kids died, and then 3 years later she is in the hospital working, and there's this news about this firefighter that risked his life to save a baby, and he's in the hospital currently, and he's not in the greatest condition. And she kind of resonated because she's like, oh my god, I wish to help his family, you know, for them not to be that heartbroken, because maybe it happens the same that happened to my husband. So she goes and she realized that he's really injured, but he's not in the point of dying. So then she gets assigned to be his physical therapist, you know, to get him back into normal. And from the beginning he's like, oh my god, this woman is it. And it's really love at first sight for him. He's like, she's an angel, and he keeps constantly talking about how beautiful she is. In her case, she thinks is, you know, the anesthesia, the med, but little by little they grow this thing, and she's really skeptical to tell him about her kids because obviously not everybody likes that, and that is that. I don't know, I was in the mood for something like that, and I don't know, I wasn't the biggest fan of. I think it was too long. There was too much like talking. I don't know, I feel like the book was too long. It could have been, wait, let's see how long that was. I read on my Kindle, yeah, 412 pages. It could have been like 50 pages less and it will have been a great book. But I don't know, it wasn't 3 stars, basic. I thought I would rate it higher, but 3 stars, nothing special. Then Jessa Wilder is, I've only read one series by her and I loved it, and she came out with a novella after the third book. She decided to do like a novella, an extended epilogue novella, and that is Rules We Break, and it was only like 100 something pages, 132 pages, and it's really following the couple, them later in the future and how they're doing, and I really enjoyed it. I love this world, and since it's a novella and I don't rate a novella higher than 3 stars, it gets a 3 stars, but I really enjoyed it. Like, I love extended epilogue. I'm somebody that I could read a book about the couple being happy and I will be there. Then I listened to the audiobook of another book from my physical TBR, and that is Can You Keep a Secret by Sophie Kinsella. I saw that on my library. I decided why not, and this was a book like you wanted to more. It was really quick. So Emma, she was assigned to go on a business trip. She goes, and the end, the trip doesn't go that well. You know, she's back in the plane, and the plane is doing a lot of turbulence, and in her case, she's scared of flying, and she was upgraded to first class, so she's beside this guy that she doesn't know. And then the plane was doing like a lot of things, and she basically spilled all of her secrets. She is kind of a people pleaser, and she decides to tell him like, oh my god, I did this, I did that. Like, she basically tells him everything, even things you should not tell even your therapist. That's how deep, like, she was telling him everything. So he was only like, okay. At the end, they get to, she was kind of having a panic attack. They get to the airport, she gets there, her boyfriend greets her. Then the next day or a day later, she goes to work, and then she's kind of panicking because she doesn't want to tell her boss how the meeting went. And then they tell her like, oh, the founder of the company will come to the office, because why? The company is based in the US, but they have office as well in the UK. And who is the founder, the CEO? The guy that she spilled all of her secrets to. So obviously she's dying, like, she's mortified, and little by little, the more he gets to know her, the more he realized that, I don't know how to tell you, like, he knows her, but at the same time he doesn't. Like, he knows her secret, but at the same time he's getting to know her, and she's kind of like, oh my god, I wish him to not be here anymore because he knows so much about me. And like I said, she's a people pleaser, so he realized that, and little by little, like, it was good. It wasn't like, oh my god, this book changed my life. It was good, so I rated it a 3 stars. And the last book that I read this month, it's the third book in the New York Ruthless series, and that is Ryan Retribution. I read the first 2 books, and to be honest, I don't think I'm going to keep with this series because it follows the same. It's a why choose mafia type of romance, and to be honest, I'm kind of bored of the same thing. Like, this is purely smut. The little plot that goes, like, each book ends in the cliffhanger, but like, okay, we get it, like, can we move on? There's always something. At the beginning she does this, at the beginning one of them gets kidnapped, then some, like, it's too much drama. I did not really, like I said, it's purely smut. That's really what you're reading, and like I said, I'm done with it. So this book will get a 1.5 stars or 2 stars. 2 stars, yeah. But yeah, I read a total of 14 books this month, which is insane. So yeah, I've read so many books, but like I said, I've been into an audiobook phase and I've been loving it. But yeah, that will be all for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next video, guys. Bye!